Hey everyone, I'm your host, Valerie David.
And I'm your host, Courtney Massey.
And this is the night session. Welcome to our Australian Open Roundup, Instagram, gossip, random crap podcast.
Welcome to our random crap podcast.
All that you've come to expect from the night session.
That was well prepared.
Right before this, we talked about the times when we've had total dead air on the podcast. And, I tried to not have dead air, but it is what it is.
Well, actually, in the preview, she said my name was Courtney David. So we joked that we got married in the off-season. Surprise!
Exactly. Surprise! While everyone else was in the Maldives and all those same hotels that they were all in for some reason.
I love looking. I want that level of rich.
Yeah.
That's my goal. Is to be able to go on Richard Branson's island. and we actually we're already going on a tangent, but it's tennis related. So during the off season, outside the ball, went to Kevin Anderson's charity benefit, and they auctioned off a trip to Richard Branson's island, and I think it was almost $10,000.
Oh my god!
Was the final bid,
which is probably a bargain.
Probably. And then I was like, "Is there a $50 option?" I also told my coworker, because I wasn't there, I told my coworker to slip the guy my number who won. And so anyway, but speaking of surprises, dun dun dun,
Naomi won.
Which I don't know. I guess I don't know if that's a surprise or not. Was it?
I don't know, not a shock, but I'm guessing a lot of people were thinking Serena was going to win, or Kerber or Halep or something like that, and especially since the women tend to not do well in the slam after the one they've won. I think it was a big deal that she got to the semifinals after winning the slam. So then to actually win it was unbelievable. But I definitely wanted to have these pictures up, because a lot of times the post slam win pictures are stupid. They're in a weird location, or people have bad clothes on, but this is just primo.
I like that word.
And I mean, we were talking about this in the warm up, in our 7-minute warm up, that her dress goes with the surroundings, and Courtney from WTA. I always differentiate WTA Courtney.
I was gonna say, I thought you were talking about me, and then you swerved, and I was like, "Oh, fine."
Yeah, WTA Courtney said that that she had asked if I don't know. Actually, I don't know if she asked or if she had this information. I'm digressing. If she had a stylist or not. She said that she'd been offered a stylist and a makeup artist, and she declined. And she said, "I have a dress and I can do my own makeup." So the fact that this all is so cohesive and awesome, it's just another level.
Yeah, it looked really, really good. I loved this photo shoot.
Yeah, it's just perfect with the bare feet. And I was thinking this was perfect because the tennis players always have the bad sock tan line. And this is, they just had her in the sand. So then it was like, oh yeah, her feet just have sand on them. That's why she has that bad sock line.
She blended in with her surroundings in more ways than one.
Exactly. But it's the Australian Open Women's Trophy is one of my favorites. I just love it on the pedestal and all that kind of stuff. So
it's really elegant. It's not bulky and obnoxious.
Yes.
Or looks like a weapon.
Yeah.
Or a dildo.
I was just gonna say, or a violent sex toy.
Yeah, it just looks very elegant.
Exactly. And that's how she looks. I mean, everything is her hair is perfect, her jewelry, the dress. It's just huzzah. And it was a good match too. It was her and Petra. I was like, if either one of them won, it was a great story for Petra coming back after the knife attack. It's like they didn't even think she could hold a racket, and she's in the slam final. So I sobbed my way through the trophy ceremony because they both gave really sweet speeches.
I know. It was such a feel-good thing where I think a lot of tennis fans were happy if either of them won, which is rare.
Yes. Yeah, it was like there was no like fandom sniping or anything. It was just like people were just really, just enjoying the tennis and just, happy with the whole thing. The women's side, again, was at this slam. I was a lot happier and enjoyed it a lot more than the men's, which...
I think the last few years, like we've talked about it a lot on the show, how the women's finals are usually much more competitive and fun to watch than the men.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you don't know who's going to win, which is, that's what makes them exciting. It's like a lot of these things where it's like, foregone conclusion. It's hard to, even when the tennis is good, it's kind of hard to enjoy it. So it's nice when it's like into a third, thought it was only going to be 2 sets. It went into third, and then you're like, we don't know who's going to get the momentum.
I thought Petra was going to win after the second set.
Yeah, I did too. Because Naomi kind of lost it a little bit. And
because she had the Grand Slam in the bag and she lost it, and her body language, and she was just so upset with herself. And I thought Petra was going to come out ahead. But, I mean, I was glad either way. And I'm so happy for Naomi.
Yes. And it was a cool thing to see because it was nice to see somebody who did have kind of a little bit of a meltdown. And then in the third set went, well, I'm not out of it yet.
Yes.
I'm just going to keep playing. Instead of that, I can't stand the 6-1 third set, where it's like, it's depressing. So bravo, Naomi. So
you skipped one.
I skipped one.
What You're happened? Going the wrong way.
I know, but what happened?
I don't know. It's there, right there.
I just skipped. Okay, I'm sorry.
I was like, you're going the wrong way.
Well, you know what kept happening was when I was setting these up, I kept accidentally closing a tab.
Yeah, I do that a lot too.
Yeah, and then I kept, I'd be frantically looking for it, and then I'd have to do the reopen close tab, and it's like, oh, there it is. So I was like panicking. I'm like, no, did I close it?
I accidentally close tabs on a daily basis. So we talked a lot about Naomi and how we loved her photo shoot. Novak, I have a little bit of an opposite reaction to. They had him next to what I swear looks like a swamp. And it looks like an alligator is going to come out, which I guess fits with the Lacoste, whatever, how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
Brand. So I guess that would have worked. They should have had someone dress up as a
crocodile.
But this photo right here, they also had him laying down. And I used to work at Sears Portrait Studio, so I used to have to stage this crap, and it just looked like a senior photo of an athlete. You know what I mean? Like the jock in school is taking his senior photos, but the next photo killed me.
I was just thinking, I'm just picturing a baby on red velvet or something.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so is that just a random couple that just came floating by? It looks like he crashed a Hallmark movie set. And it just looks like they're on a date and he's on a date with the trophy. It's a mood.
It's a mood.
It's a mood. But it's just I just cracked up at a random couple just floating by. And did they know what's going on? Are they just looking out going, honey, why is that man kissing a vase? Did they
why are there 100 photographers?
Yes,
watching him do it?
Yeah, is this some kinky thing? We got to get out of here, And did they plan? I'm gonna assume this was random and not planned. And I'm assuming they didn't plan to get their photo taken. They just wanted to just have a nice float.
Yeah, I honestly don't know, because then it's weird to me that Australian Open tweeted this, well, Instagrammed rather, it's Because here it says Royal Botanic Gardens, Victoria. It's kind of like, come visit the botanical gardens. Maybe you'll see Novak Djokovic on the shore. It's just, it's like
making out with his trophy and making it weird. Yeah,
making it weird.
Like, honestly, take yourself out. Pretend you're not a tennis fan. Pretend you have no idea who Novak Djokovic is. And think if you're on a date with somebody and you do this gondola ride and all of a sudden there's this mob of photographers and a guy making out with a trophy. And you're suddenly in the back of it. Like, it just cracked me up at how random this is.
It's a shame it wasn't like a GIF, because it would have been really funny if he's posing and then you just see this boat sliding into the background with these two people like, what the fuck?
It's not really that pretty. Again, it looks kind of swampish from this angle.
Yeah, well, that is Australia.
But I've seen, well, Naomi's was very beautiful.
Yes.
And Roger is taking pictures in really cool places, and so no, I believe in Australia. I believe they could pick a better location than this.
Yes, it is kind of just an odd thing, and like you said too, it is odd with the random gondola in the back.
It is, and then they posed him like a senior photo where Naomi, they just had her stand or sit and not do those like mall poses.
Yeah, they really should have had the gondola come to shore and then he could back step onto it and then float away with the gondola and the trophy.
Well, I think, didn't someone do that? I feel like someone, I don't know if it was Wozniacki, I feel like someone was on a gondola at one point.
Oh, it's definitely possible.
And so I feel like they have used the gondola before, but it just felt like, I wish they put like Kyrgios or someone back there that was part of tennis. So that was a fun little treat of Kyrgios floating by, heckling him.
And Kakanakis go by the gondola.
Or the Frenchie boys, they're on a date with a picnic. How cute would that be?
Perfect.
So that's my rant.
Oh my god. Yeah, and it's so funny when you said that people in a boat, it just made me think about the year after I think it was Stan and Lena, and they had some kind of presentation thing or something, and they had them take the train and then walk 2 miles to get to whatever it was. It's this is getting weird. The camera's following them the whole way, it's this procession, but it's they're on a train.
It's a procession. But I'm glad I don't work in media there, because I wouldn't have made it. I would be like, oh hell, I'm not an athlete. Why am I doing this?
Courtney's on a skateboard.
I'd go put my ass in the gondola and take me over there.
I have to ride with the player. Oh my god. Oh. See, we've taken 10 tangents already. Speaking of awkward.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Rafa?
I didn't see this in the practice. I literally gasped. Because I was just like, what? How is that even... How is that even a thing?
I guess it's one of those where you're going to hug somebody and he's holding the trophy, so you don't want to knock the trophy out of his hand. So I guess he just put his hand lower, but it's dude.
I mean, I guess we all have those moments of taking pictures with tennis players and not knowing where to put our hands when they have their tennis bag on.
Yeah. And
because, their butt and you can't really... So, I mean, I feel you, Rafa, but I don't feel it that much as you're feeling it.
I was just going to say, when you've got a handful of Nole, you might go, oh! Maybe I shouldn't be putting my hand there. Maybe this is the new butt slap. I don't know. Maybe this is tennis players, too.
I feel like that would be uncomfortable, but I don't have that equipment, I don't know what it feels like.
I'll cup you because you won the cup. I don't know.
Wouldn't that be funny if that was like the new handshake? That could go very wrong when they're pissed at each other.
Oh my god. Novak Djokovic out for the rest of the season. Oh my lord. So, and that throws on an interesting look from Rafa too. So
he knows what we're saying.
Yeah,
he doesn't approve.
He does not. I do not approve what you're saying. He didn't approve what Nole was saying either. I don't think. I did not stay up and watch this match.
I didn't either. I went to bed.
I just couldn't do it, and really, it's only like Stan and Angie that I will get up at 3 o'clock in the morning for. Roger, if I think he's gonna win, it's like. Otherwise, it's like I'll just watch the replay in the morning. So I come onto my timeline in the morning, and there's all this effusive praise for Rafa is, the ultimate speech giver. They should teach this speech in classes and all this.
Yeah, I read those.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I thought the women's were pretty amazing. So I'm interested to see how much more amazing this is going to be. So I watch it. Rafa starts out just kind of the basics, Nole played was, really well today. Credit to him, blah, blah, blah. Thanks to the tournament, whatever. Just like the usual stuff. And I'm going, okay, I'm waiting to be dazzled. There's still 3 more minutes to go. So he spends 2.5 minutes talking about all of his injuries. How he missed this tournament and that tournament and had to withdraw.
That's a weird flex, but okay.
Yeah, and wasn't able to play. And then this was the first tournament he's been able to play in months and months. And I was like, oh my God. Nole, you played really well, but I've been on my deathbed for 2 years. So really, it's just amazing that I'm here and breathing air. And, you just got lucky that I wasn't at full capacity. I mean, it was just, to me, it was just totally the opposite of a gracious speech. And I know all the Rafa fans will be mad about that. And
yeah, you're going to piss. As soon as you said that, I go, oh, we're going to get.
But honestly, this is it's unbelievable because it just like hit it right on the nose. This is the problem I've had with Rafa because I used to love Rafa. And I don't hate Rafa, but the problem I started to have with him was this constant complaining about it's so unfair that I had these injuries and I could have won 100 slams, but it was so unfair. And all these other people are so lucky. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Talk to, Brian Baker or Andy Murray or, Tommy Haas, people who didn't get to achieve the vast amount of trophies and stuff that you've had and the records and being in the conversation for GOAT. Please don't talk about how unlucky and how tough your life's been. So it just when everybody's talking about this gracious speech and then he talks for 2.5 minutes about all his injuries. So, so you get to Djokovic and he starts out with this, he follows up what Rafa's saying, like, it's so amazing, kids look up to you because you're the definition of resilience, from all these injuries. And then he goes, and by the way, I had a really bad year too. And I had surgery 12 months ago today.
I'm sorry. That is a little bit funny. Like I was like, well, like I'm sitting here going, well, I can see both sides, and like, well, I hate making the both sides argument. Because,
yeah, I'm not allowed to say that now.
Yeah, politics, another thing Trump ruined. But I can see, like, I can see where he's like, whatever. I can see his point a little bit, but now it's just comical that two people who have had incredible careers so far, and they're still in the finals, they're still winning trophies, and they're both like, I've had a really bad year. I've been injured. Like, and that's what they're spending their thanking speech.
Yes.
Acceptance speech. thanking speech.
Thanking speech.
No one calls it thanking speech.
But that is what they do. I mean,
yes,
it's gotten crazy now where they thank the people who laid the concrete for the parking lot outside.
I know.
So it was just, to me, it was a little bit of shade from Nole. I am not sure that he would have gone as in depth about his own injuries if Rafa hadn't gone on for 4 minutes about his. And so I found it kind of amusing.
It's funnier. It's funnier when Novak gets into it. Because then you kind of see it fully for what it is. And then you kind of go, okay, that's a little bit funny. Like, it seems like a comedy bit.
Yes.
That two people who won and are doing really well right now are like, oh, my leg, my hip, my, body. And then you're just like, but you won? Like, I mean, I can understand, like, Petra, talking about her experiences, but
she didn't even that much. I mean, she said, I've had a difficult time, and my, team really helped me through it, and I couldn't have done it without them, and it's like, I would have been fine if Rafa said something similar, but to, like, go through every tournament that you've missed.
Like, I had the paper cut on Tuesday. I had the blister on Wednesday the 5th. Yeah.
That's exactly what it was like. It was like, are you kidding me? Oh, and I forgot. This is the part that really made me mad because he also said that he's had really terrible luck at the Australian Open, that, he's lost things because of injuries or to a better opponent like today. And I was like, oh, you mean not like Stan? Like, felt like that was like a jab about that. Yeah. Like, the whole thing just felt like not gracious. I don't know. But I said then, so I was like feeling kind of hot. I said, and then Nole gets up there and I'm like, damn.
Also, well, I don't know if we're talking about best speeches of the year, then that's one thing. But the best speech of all time Lena always gets that crown. Yes. But aside from Lena, honestly, I think Zverev wins. Because we never talked about this, did we? But Zverev, I won't go too long into it, but just Zverev would not shut the hell up. And like, if this was an award show, they would play him off with music and he would tell them to turn the music down and keep going, which is what he did. Because at one point he goes, I'm not done. Let me finish. Yes. And he keeps going and they're trying to wrap it up. Yes. And it was the greatest thing I've ever seen. So when you're saying that Rafa and all these people have best speeches, I'm sorry, Zverev is in my top 5 at least.
Yes. And he was king during like the Courier interviews at the Australian Open too, and at Hopman Cup, because he gave Roger shit. And he made fun of himself about his scrawny biceps, that he's not ever going to wear sleeveless. He gave himself a nickname, Asparagus.
Yeah, he always talks about his body.
Yes.
He always talks about how he's trying to work out and like he feels like his body's okay, but he's skinny. And it's just like, he talks about his body more than like we do.
Yeah. That's saying a lot.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're talking about your body more than the night session, like, you talk about your body a lot. Like, he talks about his body more than McEnroe talks about adults. Like, he wants people to, like, look at him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But in like a self-deprecating way though, so it's like I'm not sure if it's like if he's really self-conscious about it or he's wanting everybody to go, oh no, you're totally hot, dude.
Yeah, I think the oh no one.
Yeah.
I don't know, my experience with men, it's the oh no one. Like, oh no, you're really attractive.
Yeah, you have amazing.
You don't look like asparagus.
You don't look like asparagus.
Although I would eat you. Like, anyway. These are the fangirls talking, not me, of course.
Oh, yes, that's totally a quote.
It's a quote. I'm sure I saw it on Twitter.
Oh, so that was that. So speaking of the youngins, I was amused by this. I was also happy because Fritzy is incredibly attractive, and he started growing his hair out again. So
yeah, his hair growing out's nice. I mean, I don't know if I would say incredibly attractive, but he's not bad.
Yeah, I find something very intoxicating about him, but it was really weird because when he had the like super fluttery hair over his eyes and stuff, like super old school movie star idol type, and then he like cut all of his hair off, and I was like, oh my god, he's so basic. I was like, Samson, it's like he's got to have the hair.
You're basic.
You're basic. So, but I thought this was cute because he, after he won a match, he was talking about he was going to be playing Fed next, and he had played him before, and he said, I had some breakpoints deep in the third set, and I started thinking, oh my god, I'm about to beat Federer. And ultimately, that's a big reason why I didn't. And I thought this was wonderfully self-aware. Yeah. And I put this in here because we had Stefanos and Dimitrov was particularly. I think Sasha was more just mad, but Dimitrov, Stefanos, and Lucas Pouille were all like, I don't understand why I didn't win. I was playing amazing. And it was like, no, you weren't. You were nervous, you were tense, you forgot your game plan, it was like, I said Dimitrov even said that he had a great off season. He thought he was just going to come in and win everything because he had a great off season. It's just like, there's another dude across the net, There's a lot more goes into it than just, I think I can win.
And poor things, they were stunned.
Yeah.
And they didn't know what to do with themselves.
No, and part of that is, a lot of people have been talking about, well, they've been talking about it for years, about we overhype kids, they like get one win and then it's like, oh my god, they're going to win everything, they're amazing. And that really happened with Stefanos. I mean, he beat Federer and then it was like, oh, that's it, he's the guy, he's the next gen guy, he can beat anyone. And so I think Stefanos was believing it, which you have to be confident to win, but you can't be overconfident. So I felt like, Fritzy's kind of got a little better handle on it. Maybe they can learn from him.
Like, oh, I get where I went wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Like my brain is part of it,
Yeah.
And I had to put Stanley in here. This is something he put on his own Instagram, showing off the peach, which I very much appreciate. Everybody was kind of dying for, Stanley to do big things, to kind of, if the kids can't do it, at least maybe Stan could shake things up a little bit. I know people were hoping Andy would come back too. Yeah, which we'll get to Andy later. But Stanley had a crappy draw. He ran into Gulbis first, which that's another story. Poor Ernie came out gangbusters and then had to retire. So it's like the whole thing was a mess. But Stan looked the best that he's looked in a long time. It was kind of like he just physically wasn't back after the knee surgery. And he started looking better last year, but then he kind of got some secondary injuries and he took more time off, and it was like just really sucked. You kind of also get out of the groove, so his mentality wasn't quite there. So he ended up going out to Raonic in 4 fucking tie breaks. One was 13-11.
4 tie breaks, gosh.
Yeah, so it's like he was like just, a minuscule tiny bit away from going to the tournament. So, but the positive thing was I have not seen him moving this well since before the injury. So the hope is maybe he'll get some kinder draws going forward and keep getting better and better, because definitely we need at least another year or two of Stan, because he keeps things interesting.
You just want to look at his ass, like.
I do, but his tennis is really gorgeous too. It's like if you watch the Djokovic-Wawrinka match, I watched one like a couple months ago because I ran across like highlights and I was like, holy shit, nobody's playing like this now. It's like you forget, you get your distance from it, and then it was like this insane, explosive tennis. They were both like outside the doubles lines, hitting angles, and you're like, oh my god. So we need a little bit of that.
Definitely.
On the men's side. And this is our buddy Dylan, who we talked about in the previous podcast.
I love Dylan. I want to read his book. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yes, definitely. And I mean, he's been doing amazing as usual, winning everything. And
he really does win everything.
Yes.
Does he ever lose?
Once in a while, but he's won in Australia a lot for sure because he likes being home. He has wrote a book. He's just like an amazing inspirational person. It's like every time you see him on a talk show or something, it's just like I could just listen to him for like an hour. He's just interesting, and it's really nice to kind of see this, that you're getting perspective about people who are disabled. That people kind of tend to think of it like they're sort of this other kind of a thing. And he's sort of brought it out like, I'm a person like anybody else. I'm an athlete. It's like, he's like really like revealing a lot of things that I think a lot of people didn't notice, didn't know they didn't know, that kind of stuff. And there's also been a lot of great stuff on his social media because he was sharing pictures that people sent of their kids in wheelchair watching him on TV, and seeing that there's someone like them who's having success and who's playing tennis, and it's just been really cool. I said he's just like really an amazing guy and really hysterical, which is something I always appreciate.
He's really funny, and those pictures I saw online were very, very sweet. And it's he's changing things, and we're going to talk about other parts of the tour later on, but it's nice to see all aspects of our sport getting attention, and I think everybody should encourage that and fight for that, because there's so many great athletes and so many inspirational stories and just so many fun matches to watch and people to cheer for. And so we love Dylan.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing and they are starting to show more on TV and stuff that I wish they would, because a lot of like the main ESPN channels and stuff, a lot of times they show really stupid stuff to fill time or whatever, even when there's tons of tennis going on. And it's like, well, if you want to mix things up, it's like, why don't you show all the different, they're not even showing doubles, it's like, you can show doubles, you can show wheelchair tennis,
I mean, we couldn't even get women's tennis on TV.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
an entire year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is that was kind of the nice thing, was that they're starting to acknowledge, and Australia is a really great place for this, because Australia is pretty darn supportive of all aspects of tennis. It's like, if an Australian woman is playing, they don't care if they've ever even heard of her. Like a ton of people will come in and fill the stands and be cheering for her. So it's really, they're kind of like really pro tennis, and it's always fun to watch the tournament like that. We wanted to add some other funny moments from the tournament.
I love this. I watched this so many times.
It's just the look. It's like, they announce the players for the tournament, and Serena comes out and they say Simona Halep, world number 1, and she's like, oh.
Yeah, they started with, and welcome the world number 1, and she instantly turned on her heels, like, oh.
And the crowd, you can actually hear the crowd react too, because they all kind of laugh,
everybody loves
that about face. But it's like, and a lot of people were talking about, they're like, oh, did she not know? Did the announcer screw something up? And it's like, well, no, she was right, because it's generally the higher ranked person comes out second. And I'm going to assume that the announcers were like, well, Serena's a bigger name or whatever, so she should come out second because she'll get the bigger applause. but they should have told them what they were doing.
Yeah, I don't know what it was definitely the announcer's fault.
Yes.
I don't know if that was just he just read the wrong thing or switched it because it's Serena. But and she had her headphones on, and I just think it would have been interesting if she hadn't heard it.
Right.
And if she would have just kept walking, would they have like ran after her? And then like and also I don't know what the announcer can see.
Oh, yeah, right.
So can the announcer see, or if he was even paying attention because he's reading script? So so it's not like he would maybe know to like stop because he clearly kept going.
Yeah, well, was probably a good thing because it would have been bad if the announcer would have gone, oh God, I'm sorry.
Oh, that ain't right. Hold on.
That ain't right.
Right. Well, that one announcer, we always joke about how he says Shapovalov. Where I don't know how he said it, but announcers, you never know what you're going to get. I would never be an announcer because I don't say anyone's name right. And I would be like, oh, crap. Sorry.
Sorry. So sorry.
I just be apologizing to them. But yeah, I really want to know if she didn't hear the announcement, would they have like ran after her?
I suspect not. I think they probably would have just kind of kept going, and because I feel like it has happened before. I feel like they've screwed it up before, and that's usually when it happens because it's like somebody like when Federer drops, out of the top 3, they tend to screw up. They had that once in the post-match interview where they said the number 1 Federer or whatever.
Well, it was in the award ceremony.
Yeah, and no, it was like, oh my God.
And Mo is just cracking up behind them.
Yeah. So
how embarrassing the award ceremony.
Yes.
Like you're literally honoring the players.
Yes. It's like, a lot of the Nole fans are kind of crazy, but sometimes I can understand where they're coming from because Nole sometimes does get the shitty end of the stick with stuff.
Yeah.
So this was another.
I loved this. Pliskova's husband absolutely losing his shit.
Yes.
I love it. I could just watch it all day because he's so, you see them do fist pumps and stuff, but you would think she won the whole thing.
Yes.
But I understand this. And some fans online were a little upset about this because they felt it was disrespectful because Serena was obviously hurt. I didn't find it disrespectful at all. I think if anything, it shows how good Serena is because Serena was up like 5-1.
Right.
And she foot faulted and then she got hurt or something with her ankle. And Pliskova came back and won it. But the thing is, Serena is so good. I mean, you can chop off her leg and she can still win.
Yeah, right.
It takes a lot to beat Serena. And I think his reaction shows that it was kind of a big deal that she was able to come back and win that against someone like Serena.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because, Serena, like, I don't want to say rolled her ankle. It was kind of like a little shift in her foot, which she was clearly hurt. I would say for about 2 games, it looked like it was hampering her a little bit. But honestly, a lot of times Serena doesn't even need to move. It's like they just hit the ball back to her and then she just creams it and she wins the point anyway. So we were like, Pliskova's down 1-5. She's doomed. And, even if she wins a game or whatever, she's still not going to get out of this.
Yeah.
And Serena herself said that she didn't think that the injury was bad enough to call, a trainer, and she just thought Pliskova played out of her mind on match points, and she didn't make any excuses. It's like a lot of times her fans like say stuff that Serena doesn't even need them to say. It's like she's perfectly fine with. She said she didn't feel bad about losing this match because she thought she did everything right, and Pliskova just played out of her mind. So I thought I don't think she would have been upset about him celebrating like that. Because especially too, because it's like not like Serena got carried off in a stretcher, because then I would say, yeah, that would be inappropriate.
Yeah, like this very solemn scene, and he's just like, yeah. Yeah, but I just think this is proof of how good Serena is. That,
yeah, absolutely.
To come back like that it's like she won the tournament.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because if it was like against somebody that you were like, well, that should have happened, you would have been like, oh, it's about fucking time. It's like you wouldn't have this reaction.
Yeah.
So I thought it was amazing. It was kind of the thing, like I was so like stunned and like excited about Pliskova winning this match that I saw that their box was kind of going crazy, but I didn't realize until this video came out. I was like, oh my god. He almost caused people injury.
It looked like they were in the club. Like, it didn't look like they were in a box watching tennis.
No. So this was another really nice story. Sam Stosur, we were talking about this in the preview show too, kind of has a reputation of she really has trouble winning matches in Australia. It's just, she goes out in first rounds to people that she shouldn't have, and it's like really upsetting because everyone there really wants her to win, but it's like the more everybody wants it, the harder it gets. So this was so cool that she and Zhang Shui, she is the one that got her to get back into playing tennis because she was considering retiring. And so that, they're friends. They played doubles together, and they just had this amazing win. And it was a really cool moment. This was another thing where like the crowd was going absolutely berserk, and it was just a really cool moment. I thought there was like the Australian Open, it's supposed to be the happy slam. It's like there were some like crappy things that happened in the first week, but then it was like a lot of these stories that came out and a lot of the champions and stuff. It was really awesome.
I love that. I read it on Twitter. I love that she got her back into tennis. It was like, hey, keep playing tennis with me, and then they win a Grand Slam together.
Yes.
I mean, that's like BFF goals. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't get better than that. And I think that's just such a cute story. And there's some really funny gifs of their matches, of them like going for the same ball at the same time.
Yes.
Hitting Sam, I think, in the back with the ball.
Yes.
There's some really cute moments of them. And it's great that they won. It's such a cute story.
Yeah. And they had really the same thing, like really nice, gracious speeches and all that kind of stuff. And I always like people who are like this excited about a win. Like it's not this jaded thing, like, oh, I've gotten a bunch of these, or it's not a singles win.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Hold your horses.
We'll get to that. So we're happy for Sammy. And actually the other thing too, that people were talking about is that she's got really like a Hall of Fame record now, because combined with singles and doubles slams, she's done a lot. And so it's like she's really a lot of times you're kind of disparaging about, she can't win in Australia, blah blah blah, and it's like turns out she's had this really excellent career that she hasn't possibly gotten enough credit for.
That's good. She seems like a really good person to cheer for.
Yes. Yeah, she doesn't, there's not a lot of scandals.
As far as I know. But I like how we're going from sweet to sweet.
Yeah, I love my Frenchies. Absolutely, totally. Nico and Pierre are just amazing. And I always want them to win because Nico always like smushes Pierre so much and kisses him and ruffles his hair. And then I put this video in there because it turns out that Pierre has a really cute brother too. And as I said, somebody tweeted, they're like, how good are those Air Bear jeans? Like, holy crap.
The Frenchmen, though, in general, are very attractive.
Yes.
And I do, like, they are the couple, not the brother. Sorry, we're going back to the doubles team. They're just to be clear, I'm not advocating that. They're the couple. They're my favorite couple that's not a couple.
Yes.
Like, I want them to be a couple so bad, and they're just so cute.
Yes.
That it just kills me. I would want them to have a joint Instagram account.
Well, they are on Instagram a lot of times together, and
that is true. They do give us a lot of content.
Yeah, the Frenchies do in general, because like all the Frenchies kind of hang out together then too. So then you get like, they go on their beach vacations together. There's a lot of French togetherness.
Yeah. Did you see the commercial with them too, where Mahou's in the tutu?
No.
You haven't seen it. I'll have to send it to you later. He's in the ballerina outfit because in the commercial, I can't remember what it's for, but they're getting ready for their doubles match, and he got shipped the wrong box. So a little girl got his tennis gear and he got the ballerina outfit.
Oh.
And Pierre looks up and he's in the ballerina suit and he just goes, "What? What are you wearing, man?"
He goes, "Quoi?"
Oh, I wish I thought of that.
Yeah, I was gonna say we could have put that in here.
Yeah.
Mahou's up for anything.
He really is. Well, remember he wore his mixed doubles partner's outfit in Hopman Cup the one time.
Yes.
So he's very playful and has a lot of he's totally up for costumes, which I love. Because any dude that's like silly and would put on a tutu, I love them.
If you're a man and you're willing to wear a tutu, you're
absolutely.
Oh, so speaking of Frenchies, this was kind of a big story. It's like coaching changes are usually news, but this was big news. And shouldn't be.
How big is it?
How big is it? Lucas Pouille is a French player that people kind of think, had hoped was going to be like the French player on the men's side. They've always had extremely like deep Davis Cup benches. There's a ton of great French players, but they've never quite reached the pinnacle of slam wins and number one and all that kind of stuff. So they've always been waiting for like their guy. And Pouille is really like a strong player. He's got some flair, and he's also pretty much not a head case. So people got excited.
Don't jinx him.
Yeah, well, that happened. So it was like he beat Rafa in the US Open in 2016, and that was like a big deal. And he got his ranking all the way up to the top 10. And then last year he had kind of a crappy year. And he ended up at number 32, which, I'm sure a lot of guys ranked 100 would be happy to end the year at number 32. But when you've been in the top 10 and within a year you're down to 32, that's not a good thing. And he was kind of lost his whole tennis style, because the whole big thing that got people excited was that he was super confident and hit super big, crazy winners and all this kind of stuff. And then he started playing tentative and defensive and losing matches and looking perplexed. And the thing that was really upsetting to me was that his coach, Emmanuel Planck, looked as perplexed as he did. And it's
that's never a good sign.
Yeah, it's like, how is your coach going to help you if he looks confused? So apparently Luca thought the same thing, and it was just kind of really some things I didn't know. Ben Rosenberg did a really good article here. He talked to both Amelie and Luca. It was really some interesting insights that Luca was actually going to kind of give up last year and take like a big chunk of time off, because he was just he didn't like touring. He wasn't feeling happy playing tennis. But he said he wanted to play Davis Cup. So he finished out the year. And Amelie was supposed to become the French Davis Cup captain. And so when he was at Davis Cup, he approached her and said, "I know you're supposed to be the Davis Cup captain next year, but would you consider coaching me instead?" And Amelie said that they had this like 2-hour conversation, and she was extremely impressed that he seemed super ambitious and like that he was willing to do, whatever was necessary to kind of, turn his tennis around and get back to where he needed to and, get to the top. And so she said in the Davis Cup, everybody's been talking about all the big changes and how it's going to, completely different format. It's going to be, a couple weeks at the end of the year or whatever. And she said she felt like she had been kind of excited about that role, and then she realized that she felt that role was going to be greatly diminished, that coaching role. And so she said she felt a lot more excited about becoming Pouille's coach. And the fact that she turned down Davis Cup really impressed him. Like, she really believes in me.
Yeah.
And so, that was like a huge thing. And so you could tell the difference in him. Even though he lost some matches in Hopman Cup and stuff, it was like you could tell his tennis was already changing. And then Australian Open, where he'd never won a match, he got to the semifinals. So, and he's playing more aggressive, back to playing more variety and all this kind of stuff. And it's just been this amazing transformation. And of course, everybody wants, they're like, but you've got a woman coach. Like,
oh gosh,
how does that work? And Amelie said that she'd like to think that her, doing this and stuff, that, more women will get to coach male players. But she says she has a feeling that for at least a few years, it's only going to be someone at her level who's won a couple slams, have been number one. And, it'll be like they'll ask Navratilova or something. But it's not going to be right away at that point where, guys will hire any male coach, like no matter what his resume is, pro tennis wise, if he just has coaching experience or whatever. But a woman is going to have to be right now at the pinnacle before they'll even consider it. But it's a step,
Yeah, it's definitely a step. But yeah, I know, I can't remember who did it, but I know there was a couple male players that were asked if they would be coached by a woman, and they kind of made jokes about it and were kind of dismissive and was like, oh yeah, I'll get this person or I'll get this person. It was naming like female players and things like that. And it was so I agree that I think it's going to take a few years, but I love that he made that step.
Yeah. And he's been a wonderful spokesperson for it, because he's been saying all the things that we say, like, what difference does it make if it's a woman or man? She knows how to play tennis. If she knows what she's talking about and it's working, what do I care?
Yeah, and I like how he was very like, what? Like, why would, like, he said men coach the female players. What's the difference? All their questions about how is this going to work with a woman? It's like, well, the men do it. What?
Yeah, that's always the thing that drives me crazy. And that leads to what he said, that he didn't get a lot of negative comments from other players, but he said they were inane. And he said it was like, how does that work? And the big thing is, is she going to be in the locker room with you? And
were they all afraid she was going to see their penis?
And this is the thing, is John Isner said this when Andy Murray had Amelie, and he was like, well, I don't even know how that would work. Like, is she going to be in the locker room? That's always their big concern. And it's like, and none of them ever go, well, there's all the women have men coaches. Are the men in the women's locker room? And right after I was talking about this, Pliskova posted this picture of her with the communal ice bath thing, men and women. And I have no idea how the locker rooms work. I don't know if this is like the women's locker room and the men are in there, or if they have, a ice bath area that everybody uses. I've never been in the players' locker room, so I can't.
Okay, I'm completely guessing here, but I'm guessing they might have like a physio area.
Yeah.
And not the locker rooms, but so like physio rooms where they can get massaged and certain things, and they can go in different ice baths. That would be my guess.
Right.
So it's not strictly men or women, but maybe it's like your team could go in.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because I know that was a funny thing that happened at Hopman Cup, that Belinda said that, Roger had been, hyping her up for the match in the locker room. And everybody kind of went, and she went, no, not the locker room, the gym, not the locker room. And so it was like, her reaction was like, oh yeah, we don't have a bunch of dudes in the locker room. So I was wondering if there are these kind of areas where just kind of everybody can go in. But That said, I seem to be the only person that finds this a little bit weird. And it's not like, oh, I see a dude in his underpants, I'm going to explode. Well, I might, depending on the guy, but I just think of it in terms of my daily life, like, you know, and at this age, like, I graduated college, I went to my first job, I interviewed with my 50-year-old male boss. And so I got the interview, he liked me, he hired me. So I go in for my first day of work. I work the whole day. And then he and I go into the bathroom and take our pants off and get into a communal ice bath. I would find that weird. You know, it's just because these people, you know, some people are together for years or whatever, but like Luca and Amelie, you know, it's been like a month and you're in your underpants together. I find it strange, but I guess maybe Europeans are different, sports people are different. I don't know.
Well, I think, I'm going to disagree with you just because I think there are a lot of female players that train in just little shorts and a sports bra. And all the men usually, like, especially if, no matter if they're, you know, coach or trainers, sometimes they're shirtless on court because it's really hot. And so I don't know. I don't really see an issue with it. So far, for the ice bath situation, so far I've only seen like either the female players together, male players together, or them with their teams.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's like so communal where they're just all together. I think it's a little bit more private. But I think when you're with your team, I don't necessarily think it's a big deal. But then again, I mean, there are some players that really wear like nothing in the ice bath. But it's like a swimsuit. It's like a swimsuit, the European swimsuits.
Well, here we go. This is furthers my point. So
okay,
Pauline Parmentier took this picture of Luca and Amelie and the other guys in the ice bath, and she put an emoji over his junk because apparently his underpants are see-through.
Yeah, I was like, isn't he wearing white? That's not a good color to wear.
So here, Amelie, here's my penis. I find it odd. And I said, it's not like
also,
I was
they're
like...
French. They're French.
Well, that's what I mean. I said, I think Europeans are a little bit different. But it's like when I comment on this on Twitter, everybody's like, oh, what's the big deal? And it's like, it's odd. It's just odd.
Yeah, I think it just depends on your comfort zone.
Yeah. Well, actually, you can see, now that I'm looking at this picture, there's curtains in between.
Yeah. So you can have some privacy.
Yeah, so for people like me who would be like, I'm sorry, I don't want my coach to see me in my underpants. Because I'm just thinking, like, in high school, like, if a male gym teacher came into the locker room, I mean, we would all been running around screaming. It's just, I don't know. It's just like a different thing, especially knowing what I know about some of those coaches.
Yeah, I agree. But so far, when I see the women in the ice bath, they always have like a sports bra and just shorts.
Yeah, which is not a big deal.
Which is what they kind of wear for training anyway, where the men seem to be a little bit more revealing in the ice bath. But yeah, to me, I think it just depends on the comfort zone of the people. But I don't think it's that revealing. I don't know. I'm okay with it. I get your concern because I was wondering about that. I was like, because when you first brought that up, I was like, wait, you have an issue with that?
Yeah, and I said, I don't know. It's like a weird. I always have things like time and a place kind of a thing.
And some of them also train in pools, and during the off season, and and they're in swimsuits, and Novak did you see his 10-year challenge?
Yes,
where he's wearing like these little underwear Speedo things.
Pretty much, yeah.
So I think the guys are pretty out there, and
Yeah, and I mean, I guess too, maybe like once you're on tour and you're having to go to physios and you have to go in the ice bath, and I think it's just like you're basically just thinking about what do I need to feel better, and maybe just stop getting hung up on those kind of things. It's probably what you're used to. But I said I just can't picture the people in my office all getting in an ice bath in our underpants together.
Yeah, that's a different line of work.
Yeah, but why is it different? It's still, you know.
But no, yeah, I feel like that. I've had my boss kind of recommend like spa days, and I'm like not that crazy about people, one, touching me, and two, like being like I don't know what kind of spa. My friend went to a nude spa that she didn't know was a nude spa.
Oh my god.
And she got naked, and I go, I would have left.
Yeah.
So I guess it really does depend on your comfort level, and I know that you and I are a little bit more modest, but I don't have a problem with this as long as they're comfortable with it. I think if somebody is.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not like this should be banned.
No.
I just thought it was weird that no one else thought it was weird. I was like, really? I'm a prude? Wait a minute. But my whole thing too is just like not knowing someone and jumping right into that. That's the thing, part of it too, because it's like I said, like some of these people that their team's been together for like 5 years or something, you all kind of know each other and you feel more comfortable. But it seems like an odd thing to start with. But apparently Pookie
he's a little bit different because he has like a white underwear on. It doesn't even look like a swim outfit or shorts. It really just looks like he's in his underwear.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, she had to put the ghost on it. Because clearly he was showing, and she was like, I can't post this on the internet.
And this person did the close-up.
But look at that. It's so see-through.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, so that's my kind of thing. Because it's like, yeah, when, a lot of times people just go in there in their shorts or whatever. And it's like, it's just like a swimming pool. That doesn't, but a lot of them are in their underwear. And it just feels, odd to me. But I think we've expressed that.
Okay, I'm going to counterpoint. Maybe they also had a towel around them and just took it off once they got in. However, he's decided to stand up for the photo.
He's decided that he might have really stood up for the photo.
Yeah. Boo!
I do love that that's the emoji she chose. Yeah.
I didn't realize that. He popped up to say boo. Anyway.
So that's, I'm interested to hear other people's feelings about this and if they would get into an ice bath with their opposite sex boss or coworkers down at the factory. I want to know.
Down at the factory. Okay.
Oh.
So, now, no one's favorite British tennis player, Dan Evans, recently put both feet in his mouth when he claimed doubles players don't work hard enough to make it on the singles tour. This prompted a sharp response from 6-time Grand Slam doubles champion Jamie Murray, who called Evans' comments lazy and ill-informed. Evans isn't the only one doubling down. Even American Jack Sock said that if he wasn't relevant in singles and his only option was to play doubles, he'd quit playing tennis. That despite all his success in the latter. This brings us to a segment we like to call Really? With Courtney and Valerie. Really, Jack Sock? We respect your passion for the singles tour and want you to follow your dream, but do you really want to shit on a sport that's giving you 3 Grand Slam titles, an Olympic medal, and a current high ranking of 2 in the world?
And really, Jack, when you got chosen by one of the best and most renowned doubles players in the world, Mike Bryan, to stand in for his beloved twin brother in 2018 to win 3 huge titles and pots of money, your response is to insult their entire career? What's your next announcement? Guys who have a twin only have half a brain. Anyone who has hip surgery should just go right into a nursing home. Really, Jack?
Really? You're the only person I know that actually talks down his own accomplishments. What's next? Are you going to be in bed with a girl and instead of bragging how good you are, you tell her sex isn't that important in the grand scheme of things? And we should really just watch this Ted Bundy documentary on Netflix. Really?
Oh, really? So Jack is reportedly embarrassed that no one acknowledges his former top 10 status. You know what's not embarrassing? Winning some fucking matches. And you too, Daniel Evans. Maybe hit some more lines on the court instead of off it. Then you won't have to disparage hardworking guys who have their shit together just to make yourselves feel better.
Really?
Really. And that was really with Courtney and Valerie. We're very proud of that.
Yes, that's quite fun.
We practiced and everything.
I know we wrote a script, you guys. I wrote jokes. This was serious.
This was serious. And amongst other things that we didn't even get to put in there is he made $1.3 million in doubles last year.
Oh my gosh.
And Jack's childhood friend plays doubles for a living. It's like, there aren't enough words.
It really is just rude. And that's the thing is, like, I don't, as I said in the really segment, I don't have a problem with him wanting to be successful in singles and that being his dream over doubles. Absolutely. But I think to just talk down doubles and it is so insulting and just completely diminishes all the hard work that his friends do, but also his own hard work. Like, it meant nothing.
Exactly. And that was in the article that Ben wrote. Brian Harrison said that he talked to Jack about it and tried to get him to like own it. Like, you've done all these amazing things in doubles. Why don't you use that as confidence for singles instead of, trying to disparage, everything that you've done. It's just crazy. And especially with the caliber of people that he's played with. And it's like, and then you just crap all over their chosen profession. It's just like, So, and we weren't the only ones that wanted to have a little fun at Jack's expense. He tweeted, "There's some amazing unintentional comedy in the promo tour materials for the New York Open. See the world #2 doubles star, Jack sucks."
I love that. I don't want to be known for doubles, and it's just posters everywhere. I hope it's in the urinal. I just hope it's just everywhere.
As we said, in the bathroom stall. So while you're doing a #2, you can look at the #2. Oh my God. So, and I have stood up for Jack many times when people have complained about his attitude. And, it's like, I know it's rough to, really want to be a good singles player. And he had a lot of losses, but it's like, this is not particularly the way to deal with that.
Yeah, I know. You have defended Jack in the past, and I actually wasn't sure if you would do that really segment with me. Because I was like, this only works if you agree with me.
I maybe agreed a little too much.
Yeah, you came in hot.
So let us know how you like the really segment, because then we might do some more of those.
Definitely.
And moving on. And Courtney has to do this one.
Now it's time for Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, vey.
I created this graphic in 2015. And
it's still relevant. Like, and the same players.
Same players. Same drama. I mean, it's like a lot of it's still about the same stuff. It's absolutely unbelievable. And I was trying to find an article that would encompass all of the drama that's been happening during the Australian Open with the Australian players. And I found this one that was talking about who's going to play for Davis Cup, and it's not going to be Tomic, and it's not going to be Kyrgios, and blah, blah, blah. And this article has like 17 links in it to reference all of the shit that has been going back and forth between all of these players. It's like Kyrgios said something about Hewitt on Twitter. And then Tomic said something to the press about that, none of them want to play Davis Cup for Hewitt. They're mad that Hewitt's playing doubles when he's their coach, which I also find kind of insulting too. Like, you guys
a lot of people, even people who like Hewitt, is still like, stand down, man.
Yeah, it's, I mean, like, a lot of times people joke about that, like, oh, you're playing so shitty, I'm gonna have to go in there and do it myself, you know? And it's like, and he's actually doing that.
Yeah.
What this article said was that people further up the chain of command told Hewitt to do that because they felt everyone was shit. So he might not be completely to blame. But he said,
he's complicit.
Well, exactly. He could say, no, I shouldn't do that because that's not really, that doesn't build morale very well. In the meantime, though, he says Tomic threatened his family and blackmailed him.
Yeah.
But it's like, but when they ask follow-up questions, he's vague. So it almost just sounds like they're throwing tons of shit back and forth at each other. Like, I feel like they're all wrong.
It's weird. I don't follow this that closely because, as you said, it's a mess and it's very hard to follow. And it just feels like every few days there's something else. And you know, Tomic has his issues.
Yes.
So I wouldn't completely, it's not unfathomable to think that he threatened Hewitt, but it's just all so messy and crazy. And you just think they're all just, it's just a mess and there's nobody cleaning it up. No. And it just gets messier and messier. And this has been going on for years.
Yes.
And it's not getting any better whatsoever.
No, and I remember that we when we've done some of these segments before, we talked about that Tennis Australia used to like punish the players like if they said one tiny negative thing about how stuff was going, and it was like, what is the, like, are they under guard? You know, is this prison? You know, it's kind of like,
yeah, they
seem like these guys are a handful, but they also then seem to just deal with it extremely poorly.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like maybe you should do some kind of a clean sweep and start over. Because honestly, even Ebden, who you don't ever hear any drama about, even he said the thing's a mess. And he said Davis Cup, he said they let you know the day before if you're going to be playing. And he said you have to book flights or, you know,
yeah,
you know, your hotel, your whatever. He goes, you know, he says every other country, they know like the month in advance if they're going to be at least probably playing. He's like, I know sometimes if your form's not good, you might end up not playing after all. He's like, I'm not stupid, but it's like, you shouldn't be your general policy to just the day before go, oh, here's the lineup. So I just, it made me laugh because I was like, I was trying to find something cohesive to explain exactly what's going on, and no one knows.
No, and it's just like these snarky comments to each other. Yeah. And you're just like, wait, what? Someone threatened what? Wait, hold on. What's going on? Like, you're just, it seems so random and out of place, and you're trying to put the puzzle pieces together. And it's insane. And it's sad coming from a country like Australia.
Right.
Because I feel like that's a pretty significant country. They have, you know, a lot of decent players, even though they may be inconsistent and a bit crazy sometimes. You know, they have some decent talent there. You know, Kyrgios is inconsistent, and he's I'm not that hard on Kyrgios because I understand that he struggles, and he seems to be sometimes open about that, right, which people criticize him for, but I think he's human, and I think he's trying, even if it looks like he's not.
Yeah.
But he's a talented guy and has had some good wins, and you know, and then you got the young guys like Alex coming up, and I think you have a lot of decent kind of mixture, and it's all just not being focused on because it's just all this drama. And like, how can you play like that? Like Ebden said, like, you can't.
Right. And it's hard to gauge like how serious any of it is. It's kind of, because Kyrgios was kind of like, why are you even reporting on this? You know, like, there's so many other more important things going on. And so some of that I wonder is like, this just, are they just making something out of just a couple of guys that don't get along? You know, like maybe it's as simple as that. Because Tomek said something. He's like, well, yeah, I told him I would deck him if he didn't put me in the Davis Cup lineup. It's just like, it's kind of absurd. Because, the way Hewitt said it in the press conference was kind of like Tomek like had a gun to his head and sent him pictures of his family. It was kind of like he made it sound like some kind of mob hit was going to happen.
And that's the thing is Tomek likes to talk shit. Like there's that press conference where they asked him about Federer potentially playing Federer in the third round, and he goes, "Well, if Federer gets that far,"
exactly.
He likes to kind of be a little bit of a shithead. And he likes and a lot of these guys also get tons of shit at home from their press, whether it's justified or not. Yeah. So I feel like they constantly have a chip on their shoulder. And so they kind of get a little snarky in press, and I think they think it's funny as well. And then Hewitt's, the more you kind of see Hewitt as the more credible one. Yeah. But at the same time, you can't go by that.
No.
And it's just a thing of like, it's like our politics. We have no idea what's real. And what's fake. We have no idea what's going on. Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like all these stories of like, there's chaos in the White House and they're doing this here. It's like, we don't fucking know. Like, and it's just this weird bubble that they have created where we're like, it's just spinny and weird, and no one's taking control of it.
No.
Maybe they can't. Maybe it's bigger than all of them and they lost control and now it's just like a Sharknado. Reading these things, it was actually absurd because it was like Hewitt was like, Tomek is never playing Davis Cup ever again as long as I live. Never, ever, 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 ever. And then Tennis Australia, like somebody comes out and says, well, we never say never. And then they said, but Hewitt's the coach, so we're not going to tell him who to put in the lineup. So it's like, well, who's in charge? Well, it sounds like they're trying to do a PR move where they're just like, they're trying to seem like the good guys, but at the same time they're like, but it's not our decision.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, hey, Hewitt's the coach and that's his decision.
Yeah, and
no one's really
with them,
no one is owning their shit in this situation, and everybody's pointing fingers at the other person. No one's owning the shit, and from the top down, nobody. And It's just like until someone steps up and kind of, I don't know how they maybe get a mediator,
a psychologist.
Yeah, like have a group. Like an AA meeting, bring some donuts.
An intervention.
Yes, and just bring everybody together and kind of, work it out.
Yeah.
Share your feelings.
Seriously, we need to get, like Dr. Phil down there or something.
Or get one of those bouncy castle wrestling rings. And those big blow up gloves, and just let them go at it.
I was just gonna say like the giant like inflatable sumo wrestler.
Yes, yes, and just let them try and bounce the hell out of each other. And then maybe they'll calm down and get along.
You know what? That's as good an idea as any, because what they've been doing hasn't been.
Thank you. Maybe I'm in the wrong line of work.
So
this is a little bit happier.
I'll see if we get.
There
we go.
There we go. So here's the thing, you guys. I'm enjoying this. If he was a bit older, this is my type. I love the silliness of Alex, but my favorite part of Alex dancing in the club is not his dancing, but the old people afterwards having to talk about the dancing and them having to be like, oh yeah, well, he got some good moves, and it's nice to see that you can get in a nightclub at such a young age here, and it's just like and it's just them like having to try and like be cool about it, and it's just like And he was just like, oh, it's good that, you know, he gets to let off some steam. You know, tennis can be very tense. And it's just that they have to, like, analyze this tiny clip of Alex dancing like it's a match, and they have to do, like, a play-by-play. And it's...
I like that hip movement. He can use that on the court.
Yeah, and it's just like, you can just say, oh, Alex had a good time. That's great. Like, you don't have to, like, break it down and, like, try and, like, be down with the kids. Like, you could say, oh, this is a funny video. Like, they just analyzed it like it was a match, and it was so weird.
Yes.
I thought the dancing would be my favorite part, and then they started talking, and I went, oh, this got funnier.
I know, especially because it's Courier, and I love Courier, but he is extremely formal and, like, you know, like a college professor, and it was like, and yes, here is young Alex de Minaur dancing atop a bar.
It's like a nature documentary.
Look at the other wildlife flocking around his smooth moves.
The young demon wiggles his rump in an effort to mate. Like, yeah. You know what we should do? We should create a new show where we watch tennis content and commentate like it's a nature documentary.
Oh my god.
That should be our new show.
We could have Kyrgios with his water bottle. That would definitely be one to do.
I love that clip. People got so mad at him for that. That was so great.
More stuff from the Aussies. See, Alex is causing trouble here without even meaning to.
And that's the wholesome. That's the wholesome drama.
Wholesome Australian. This was we send each other the clips that we want to do on the show, and we both had this one because it is so hysterical on so many levels. Because not only is it two women just fighting in this hilarious manner, like death grip on this headband, it's something you usually see, like somebody over like Rafa's sweaty shirt or something. It's Sabalenka, who is, you know, a really good player, but she's kind of new. It's kind of like these two women of a certain age.
Yeah, I thought it was funny just because they were old and, like, they were really, I mean, really tugging. You can see in the video, I mean, they're holding on death grip. And I just said, oh my gosh, that's going to be me and Valerie. Like, that's our future. Like, just because, like, I've gotten this feeling like these young guys are coming up. Like, there was that really cutie patootie who won the juniors in the Australian Open. And I'm looking at these guys going, I am old. Like, all these young guys and all my generation all got broken hips. They're limping around. My generation has one foot out the door, and now all these young guys. And I'm gonna walk around the tennis tournament, and I'm gonna be like, I gotta pick another sport now. Like, I can't. Like, and so these old women fighting over, you know, sweaty tennis gear is gonna be us, man. That's our future.
And there was a secondary video of this for when security had to come.
And they took it away from them.
They did. It was like a parent. It's like, now neither one of you can have it.
That's so sad.
It's like someone said they should have just cut it in half.
I know. They should have. They each got a piece, but they were, I guess, being childish. But, I mean, I don't know. I can't say I would let Steph go if I really wanted it. Because, like, I've talked about this before, I think, on this webcast. I don't like in baseball how, like, if you catch a ball, you have to give it to a kid.
Oh, yeah, I don't like that either.
I don't like that because, first of all, the kids probably, well, I mean, some of them are genuine fans. I don't doubt that. But also some of them don't really care. They just want a ball.
Right.
Where some of the adults are more hardcore fans.
Yes.
And not all, of course, but some of them really are hardcore fans. And they get shamed into giving it to a kid that's just going to bounce it in the parking lot and put it in the mud. Like, yes. And that's the thing that bothers me. And so I don't know if I would fight. I tend to be very nice and polite in public. Like, I tend not to, like, I have social anxiety, so I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever you want. But I don't know, maybe if I caught something, maybe, I don't know, maybe I would have a tug-of-war death match.
Yeah, I'm not sure about it. I know JD and I had one when I was like, I think it was it was either first or second year that we went to Cincinnati.
Did you?
Serena, hit, they hit the balls out after they win a match, and Serena hit the ball, and it was coming right towards us. And JD, was kind of like he was going to have to like lean forward to get it. And as it was approaching, this woman ran across like 3 aisles and flung herself over the backs of the seats and like impaled herself to try to get this tennis ball. And JD was like, yeah, she can have it. I just, if you're going to cause yourself bodily harm, it's just not that serious to me.
Yeah, that's dedication. I wish you got that on video.
Yeah,
like, I'm sitting here as you're describing it, like, I wish I could, like, I'm picturing it in my head, but like, I really wish that was on video. You would have went viral.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I don't know but this is our future, just old ladies bickering at tennis tournaments, telling the youngsters how cute they look and pinching their cheeks. Like, this is our future.
Oh God. Well, which cheeks? Then I might agree with you.
And I'll be watching you as security wheels your wheelchair out the door.
Oh my God. Oh, this stunned me.
Speaking of snatching.
Yeah, I really like Brett Haber. He's one of my favorite commentators because he's very witty. He has kind of crazy references sometimes, and I get almost all of them. So he's like my people. But he's generally kind of sort of, he'll like have a little wry sarcasm and stuff like that, a little quip kind of a thing. But he's generally kind of a nice guy. He does nice interviews on Tennis Channel and stuff. He'll maybe like, do a little ribbing to the player, but there's nothing ever vicious. And so someone retweeted this, that Neil Harmon, which I'm going to assume most of our listeners probably know, but for those who don't, he was a British journalist who got caught plagiarizing the Wimbledon yearbooks, and then turned out was a lot of other things he had plagiarized, and he stole from several journalists. And he kind of got ostracized from the sport, but he's slowly been coming back, and he fired up a new Twitter account and this and that. So he was tweeting from this Twitter account, and he was, condemning this director for not knowing something. Brett Haber, even more remarkable, is a journalist who passes off other people's work as his own and then slithers around the edges of the sport, hoping no one will remember.
It's like when someone's like when a little kid's like slowly takes their hand towards the cookie jar and then gets slapped. Yes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're trying to like get in there, and someone's just like, "No, we're watching. We're watching you."
Yeah. Oh, hells no. But it was just like, I'm just reading this and I'm going, ooh, pass off other people's work. Ooh, yeah, get them for plagiarism. Oh, slithers. I was like, oh my God. So, and then I've seen some other, he took Margaret Court to task on his Twitter account. He is like not holding back. He's got opinions.
As do so many of us.
Yes, and I like it. I appreciate it.
I do too.
I think most writers are hardcore about the plagiarism thing.
Yeah. I think that's safe to say.
I get angry when people steal my tweets,
Though we just stole really from Seth Meyers and Amy Poehler.
Yes. that was more like a copyright, oh my God, I can't think of the word. Like the emblem kind of a thing. So we didn't steal their content.
Yes.
We just stole their idea.
Their concept, yeah. The structure of their bit. But yeah, one of my influences is director Mel Brooks. And he has a great quote where he says, "You got to know what to steal."
Yes. Exactly. So
Neil Harmon did not know what to steal.
Neil Harmon did not know what to steal. And then hit it poorly too. If you're going to plagiarize, do it well. So this is Danielle Collins, who we
sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just went, how many of our viewers just booed at the camera at our webcast? All right, go on.
Yes, right. And so Courtney and I have been kind of sending each other stuff back and forth about Danielle before the Australian Open, when she, made this huge run and shocked the hell out of everyone and made it further in the tournament than Serena did. We noticed her because she'd had some good tennis earlier last year, but also she's on Instagram and Twitter a lot with the Harrison brothers, and particularly Christian, who apparently is interested in her. And so she did this Q&A session. This was one of my favorite ones, where this question supposedly was from Christian, and her answer was never going to happen. And then she posted another Insta story right after that said, in case I didn't make myself clear in the last one, it's never, ever, ever going to happen. And then they've been on each other's Instagrams where, she replies to something about, the friend zone, and on somebody else's Instagram, and she goes, and Christian Harrison knows all about that.
So are we all in agreement they're secretly fucking?
You know what? The more I saw of it, the more I'm like, this reminds me of the Stan and Donna Vekic thing, where you're like, oh, they're just friends. Obviously, they're just, screwing around with it. She doesn't like him at all. And it's like, oh, yeah. I'm starting to believe it more and more. But yeah, I went crazy this Australian Open because we kind of laughed ourselves about Danielle Collins, because I think she's 24 or 25. She's came from college tennis, so she's a little bit older, like John Isner was when he started the tour. And she has a particular look that I like to call resting bitch face. And she does. She has on the court, off the court on Instagram and stuff, she's perfectly pleasant. Her Instagram's filled of her doing, charity work with kids and all this kind of stuff. But on court, she's kind of got this resting bitch face thing going, which I like it. I find it like amusing. It's like, she's tough. She's, kind of awesome. But a lot of people on Twitter, when she came about in the Australian Open, everybody's against American tennis players as it is. Because they're, and they assume everybody's a Trump supporter now. And the fact that she hangs out with the Harrisons then just further confirmed that, she's got to be this horrible, awful, elitist, snobby, disgusting person. And so this just makes me crazy, because it's like, you know what? Maybe she is. I don't know. But I don't like when people prejudge just, this is what they're basing her on her looks, So somebody had written an article about her, and it turns out that her father is 80. He is a landscaper, and she says he still mows lawns at like 80 years old. Her mother is, I think, a preschool teacher. Neither one of her parents finished college. She learned how to play tennis on the public courts. She, as a child, would go up and ask adults if they would play tennis with her, and she would learn from the people that she was playing with. Like, that's how she learned to play tennis. And she was inspired by the Williams sisters, because she was, I think they said Venus won Wimbledon when she was like 6. So that this is who she admired, and that she loved the fact that they came from public courts, practicing, and then they're slam champions. And so these are her idols. So she's like this, like modest upbringing, someone who would, admires, and it's like, it made me crazy that everybody on Twitter has this like complete misconception of her. And it was really frustrating because, I know her as, this from the Instagram and stuff, where she's always making me laugh. And I know there were some other people too that they liked her speeches during the Australian Open, where she was talking about being feisty, and she kind of likes it if people are against her because it inspires her more. And it's like some people took offense to that for some reason. But I just wanted to speak up for Danielle.
I I didn't know anything about her. Like when you showed me her, you showed me this, a while ago. I had no idea who it was, and I didn't until you put this up in the test. I was like, oh, that's her. I had no idea about her, but I did see a lot of drama where people didn't like her, and they didn't like her intensity on the court. But I will say that people started not to like her due to the incident with Vika, where Vika was really hurt in a match, and she seemed not to really give a shit.
Oh.
And she kind of was just like, are we done now? Like, are you know what I mean? She kind of went over not to see if she was okay, but just to see if she was going to withdraw.
Right.
And she did, she didn't shake her hand. She didn't, some of the female players and male players they check on each other.
Right.
Like Grigor Dimitrov is really good at this, where he will run, he will jump over the net to get to his opponent who's fallen down, and very chivalrous. And I think they were really offended to see how cold she was in her reaction, where it was just kind of like, are we done now? Okay, good. And she packed up her stuff. Right. And it wasn't, she acted like she really didn't give a shit. And I think a lot of people had a bad instant kind of introduction to her, because I guess they felt like she wasn't really, she lacked a little bit of compassion and was just kind of for herself. And I think that is only fueled by sometimes how intense she can get.
Right.
And the comments about, oh, well, I kind of like when people are against me because that fuels me, which isn't surprising. There are a lot of players like that. Some players, I mean, look at Fognini. He, I think, tries to make the crowd boo him.
Yes.
Like every match, So I think there are certain players that do get fueled by that. So I'm not for her or against her, because I really don't know anything about her. But in defense of people that don't like her, I think the Vika incident really rubbed people the wrong way.
Yeah. My thing that always bugs me about those kind of things is that's particularly with women, is that's kind of the expectation, is you have to be this super nurturing, person and act exactly the right way, and you have to, basically make out with your opponent at the net. Otherwise, they're going to post the handshake for everyone to see for eternity and talk about women, only on the women's tour,
Well, they post Gulbis's handshake. There was one where I don't know if he held on to his opponent's hand and then threw it up. There's a video on social media. Maybe someone could send it to me, but it's like he shook his opponent's hand and then just threw it up, real dramatically. So sometimes the men get it, but yeah, I definitely think the women do have to act a certain way.
Yes. And I said, and what I was seeing was people putting a lot of political stuff on her, that she must obviously be racist and bigoted and all this kind of stuff because of how she looks. And that was what was upsetting to me. And I said, it's like, you don't know any of these people personally. So, I mean, maybe she is a horrible human being, but I just, but I just don't like it when they're just making assumptions all the time now based on one thing. And then that was the thing too, is that they didn't like the way she was screaming at Kerber during the match, the come-ons and stuff like that. And then she played Petra next, and Petra was screaming at every point. And then they were no one knew what to do, because it's well, it's okay when Petra does it.
Yeah, I was gonna say Petra always does that, doesn't she?
Yes.
She's very vocal on court.
Yes, but then they turned it around to say she was just doing it back at Danielle. And that's the only reason she was doing it.
I mean, that's not true, but you can go with that.
Yeah. So I just get irritated with stuff sometimes, where it's people just kind of like to pick on one person and really run with it. And it gets exhausting when you're trying to enjoy a match and you're on Twitter and then you just see all of this crap, And it's everybody makes jokes or whatever. It's that's part of Twitter, but it's sometimes it just kind of gets out of hand to me. That's just me.
And
that was a really long segment to talk about her cute flirtation with Christian Harrison.
Well, there was a lot of drama about her.
Yes.
So a lot of people were, I don't know many people that were a fan of her, actually. I think you're probably the only one I've heard someone say something positive about her.
I know. Well, I actually had a couple people message me who were kind of like, why does everybody hate her? You know, they were like confused because it's like if people aren't on Twitter like every day, they're kind of like not seeing the trajectory of, you know, people's opinions and stuff. And they were like, I like that she's feisty. So I you know, it's kind of like the Coco Vandeweghe thing too. It's kind of like you get the feeling like people aren't liking her because some of her attitude on court or whatever. And then, you know, some of these interviews she was giving, I was like, you're really not helping your cause.
Yeah, sometimes she'll say something and I'll go, oh. No,
yeah, and so it's like I am fine with people not loving every aspect of her, what she says or does, but I just feel like sometimes people go from like 0 to 100 with their hatred level, you know, because I don't like the way they said that one thing. You know, but like you said, there was some history that I guess some people, you know, don't like her attitude. And I mean, she's not the only one. I mean, there are other players that have bad reps, you know, like Putintseva is. People pretty much only watch her matches for the handshake.
Yeah, I've seen that. People just say that.
Yeah.
On Twitter, like, I'm only here for the handshake.
I'm only here for the handshake, yeah. Which is, I said, it's like, sometimes I said with a player like Putintseva, it's true. It's like, but I don't like it when they paint the whole WTA with that brush.
Yeah.
Like the whole WTA is Real Housewives, you know? That's the kind of thing that annoys me.
I think a lot of tennis fans watch Real Housewives.
Yeah.
Laura Robson and Judy Murray were talking about Real Housewives.
Oh my god.
Like yesterday. So that was very topical.
Well, there you go. So we'll move on so I don't keep going on. Oh, this was David. Yeah, Farouz trying to have his farewell run this year. He was just going to play a few small tournaments and then retire because he said he just, you know, he can't move as fast as the younger players, and he's had a good career. He's done. So he plays Auckland and he gets injured, which really, really sucked. But then they give him this really nice farewell where they make him walk down 1,000 stairs with his bum leg. And I'm like, really? We could have done a really segment on it. I mean, look at this poor man.
It was so funny because I didn't notice the steps. Like, I was just looking at him, like, you know, high-fiving and signing autographs. And then when you mention it, now I can't unsee it. And it's the funniest thing. Like, look at him hop. He can barely move.
Yeah.
And he has to hobble down on those staircases.
Yeah, it's like really he should be on a crutch, but you can tell he's like too proud to do that. But then he's like, fuck, who put all these stairs here?
Oh my gosh. You know what? We stole really from Seth Meyers and Amy Poehler. But if you watch Seth Meyers' Late Show, he has the voice inside Donald Trump's head. So they do a comedy bit where they show a clip and then do the voiceover for what's inside his mind. Oh my God. Could have done that with Ferrer going, who put all these stairs there? God damn. Okay, have like 5 more. Okay, like, you know. And he had
my face.
He had to high five, sign autographs, and hobble downstairs all at the same time.
All at the same time. And then they hand him a spear to get into the cab with. It's like, are you trying to kill the man?
Maybe it's like a Saw movie and he has to like cut his leg off.
It's kind of like, good luck getting that on the plane. You know?
Oh my gosh.
There with my spear.
I didn't even notice the spear. Good God.
Why
are they always giving tennis players things that look like weapons? Like, don't they know that tennis players get hurt like drawing a bathtub? Like frickin' Sam Querrey sat on a glass table. These are not like well-equipped people for weapons.
here's a 17-pointed metal star for your trophy. What?
I will never get over that trophy. It's like a throwing star. And why? How can you even display it? What if some of them have children? Yeah. You would have to get baby locks on the edges.
Yeah. There's little rubber covers for all the points. Oh my god.
Anyway.
So we love you, Faru, and we're sorry you were put through this. Hopefully the next tournaments will be better.
Here's a harpoon for your troubles. Fucking hell. What is this, Australia or New Zealand? Where was that?
New Zealand.
Jesus Christ, New Zealand. Okay, so I added this more because I wanted to rant. I saw a tweet about how the Australian Open turned into a Fortnite arena, and it was a huge gaming convention to play Fortnite. And of course, we all know Nick Kyrgios loves Fortnite. So I was going to retweet a post and kind of make a joke of like, oh, did Nick Kyrgios start this or was involved in this? I couldn't even form my joke because as I was looking for the post to make, he's fucking there. I was saying this is a joke. I was gonna make a joke like, oh, I bet Nick Kyrgios, like he didn't want to play tennis anymore, so he convinced the Australian Open to create a Fortnite arena for him. Like, I was gonna make a joke about that, and he's fucking there playing Fortnite. So he just totally ruined any opportunity for me to joke about it. And I love this. I'm a nerd. I don't play Fortnite. I'm not a gamer. I wish I was, but it's just a thing of like he ruined my joke. And I was really mad, so fuck you, Kyrgios.
Hewitt was right.
Hewitt was, how dare you! I just can't believe that I was gonna make a joke about it, and then as I was scrolling down, he's fucking playing Fortnite, and I'm like, oh well, I can't make that joke because people go, well, he's there, so.
Duh. Yeah, there's nothing worse than a joke that gets corrected. That's just like, oh, I hate it.
It's a good thing I caught myself and like didn't tag him in it, because he's snarky. He would have dragged my ass so fast.
Oh my god! Just like we're gonna tag Jack and Danielle Evans in our really segment.
Oh, they're gonna hate us.
Jack blocks everybody, so that would probably be what would happen there.
That's not good. I mean, while our criticism was valid, we are a joke. We are a joke webcast. It should be taken as such.
I'm going to do a really segment about you. What do you mean we're just a joke?
Really, Courtney? We work hard. How dare you?
I spent 5 hours prepping for this.
Speaking of joke, Andy Murray, who is the funniest person on tour, and I will fight you if you disagree with me. Anyway, we talk a lot about Andy Murray and his social media use, and this is no different. He started the year by posting a lot of alcohol and saying, celebrating the end of 2018, what a shit year that was. I think we can all relate. And one of the best things we only have 2 comments that can be seen, but a bunch of tennis players commented, and they all agreed with him, like Dominika Sibakova and Stan Wawrinka, going, "That's the way." Yeah, so tennis players, they're just like us.
Especially Stan, who also had a shit year, so he can definitely identify.
Yeah, so I love that, as I've said before in this show, something snapped within the last year or so where tennis players now do not give a shit about their social media use and are just posting whatever they want. But the thing is, I don't know if some of them have like PR, like marketing people who do their social media for them, because I've noticed a ton of tennis players are now commenting on each other's posts, and I don't remember that happening so often in the past.
Right.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just didn't notice. But throughout this show, we're going to point that out.
Yeah. I was thinking it happened sometimes, but I'm also wondering, like, too, like, did they give them like because sometimes they give them like little training sessions and stuff about how to handle interviews and things like that. It's like maybe they did something where you're like, you can help promote the sport if you create all this drama on Instagram.
But it is really funny that, like, when the players, I feel like, when they first start out on social sponsor stuff, or they talk about their practices and matches, and maybe they'll interact with the fans a bit, but they kind of hold back. They don't give a lot of their personality or their sense of humor and controversy. And now they're just posting what they want and giving shit to one another, which is really great.
Right.
Such as this, where Naomi Osaka made this, big post, thanking their team and all the people that helped her in getting her Grand Slam title. And Andy commented, "Disappointed not to be mentioned in this post after our hit in Brisbane, but congrats anyway." And you can also hear him say that in the most deadpan way. I don't have a deadpan voice. I'm very sing-songy and sound like a cartoon. But you can imagine him going, "Disappointed not to be mentioned." Like, like really flat.
Yes.
And make that even funnier. Congrats anyway. That's not his voice. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and actually I think she replied to this too and
She
said
did.
something like,
I'm so
sorry. I'm so sorry I didn't mention you. My bad,
And then she's like, "Thank you." Too late, Naomi. And this is another one where, speaking of the hit in Brisbane, Kyrgios commented on this and said, "Much better hitting partner than Verdasco." And at the time, Kyrgios had gotten bit by a spider and was in the hospital. And Andy tweeted back, "Has that spider bite made you even more crazy?"
Yeah, I would be surprised if it did make him more crazy, because he posted a ton of stuff on Instagram when that was going on, and he was getting like IV treatments, and he was like, really, it was like a serious thing.
Yeah. And but I love that, some fans don't really know what to think about this. Where when they give each other the business like this, I think a lot of fans are jumping on, "They're being mean." Bandwagon. Well, I think with Andy Murray, they kind of know that they're bullshitty back and forth, but Kyrgios in general likes to kind of play, and Kokkinakis is another one. And I think with Steph, I don't think it was much of a joke, because Steph, I think, took it seriously.
Right.
But I think a lot of the guys kind of just give each other back and forth, although I don't think Verdasco would have liked that comment.
I was just gonna say, because Nick and Verdasco have kind of a
they're not. You can certain things you can tell, like they got some bad blood, but some of them really do just kind of bullshit back and forth, and I love that. That's one of my favorite things in the world. But yeah, so I think fans are now confused. Like they kind of have to wait and go, "Is this mean? Or is this comedy?" And then Andy, oh my gosh, he is a gift to social media, because like I said, Andy does not give a shit anymore, and this is one of his many posts where he talks about his crotchal region.
It's just my favorite thing.
That is a great. He draws attention to the crotchal region a lot lately. Like he did a Q&A with fans on Insta stories and didn't realize that he put the camera like on his crotch when he went to answer the phone. And then he came back and everybody's talking about his crotchal region, and he's just like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know it was pointed that way."
Oh my God.
And I'm just like, "Really? Really, Andy? Really? Are you sure you didn't know that?" So he's really great, and I don't want to talk about the retirement because I feel like that's sad, and I'd rather just talk about his crotchal region.
Yes. and we're still not actually sure what's going to happen with Andy, because I think it's still up in the air about surgery, not surgery, whatever.
There's been a lot of conflicting reports so far.
Yeah, but I have a feeling, if he does retire, I think he's going to be doing commentary or something or whatever, because he is just so brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows a lot about tennis. He has a great sense of humor. It's like, it would be silly of them to not capitalize on that.
I agree. And it has been funny. What is your next tab?
This is Shapoloff's free show.
I wasn't sure where we were going in the conversation, and I just wanted to make a comment that about the Andy Murray retirement. It is funny how they sent all these tributes like he's dying.
Yes.
And then it's not. I mean, he's his career right now is so up in the air. It seems like he wants to retire at Wimbledon, but if he can continue, he would. Right. And, we don't know if he's going to get the surgery and things like that, but they all sent him off like he was dying. Yes. So that was quite funny.
Yeah, that was like a lot of the articles were like, he was this and he was that. And it's like, no, he still is. It's like, he is. He's not dead. And then what happens too is then you like a couple days go by and then you see some more of those tweets like then you're like, oh my God, did something happen to him? Because it's like you knew he was maybe going to retire, but the level of like anguish that was coming out of some of these articles was like, did something else happen to him?
I think everybody was so shocked by it because he struggled to come back after his hip surgery, but I think we all felt like with time, right, it would get better.
Right.
Just like, Federer and Nadal and Djokovic, they've all spent time out and had surgeries and
yes, we heard all about it.
Yeah, yes, Nadal won't let us forget it. But the good callback. But I think for with Andy, we all just were like, oh my, we didn't really see it coming. And then he was just crying in a press conference saying, I can't bend down and I can't, and then we were all like, oh my gosh, we're losing Andy. Like it just hit us in a way that we didn't expect.
Yeah. And that was actually the thing that really killed me was when he was talking about that, he thought he had too much pain to continue. And then I'm like, well, yeah, on a tennis court is what you're thinking. And then he started saying, there is this surgery that I might be able to do for better quality of life because, there are some things I can't really do, like put on shoes and socks. And
yeah,
I was like what?
Like pick up his daughter and really personal things that,
Yeah. And I was like, well, that's more than just a, fuck the tennis career. I mean, that's really serious. So yeah, I think it was like a shock on multiple levels because not only were you surprised about the tennis, but it was just like, my God, we didn't know it was this bad,
Yeah. Speaking of bodies,
there's a lot of whistling going on and girls getting excited. For a skinny dude, Dennis is starting to look pretty impressive, and he's enjoying this. And they're showing this, and they pan over to his mother, and the guys are all laughing in the back, but she's not impressed.
And it's funny because we don't know what her inner monologue is. Is she not impressed with him or the women?
Right. Yeah, it's like who does she think is embarrassing themselves more?
Exactly. Yes.
And maybe it's a little bit of both.
But it's funny, like when the guys kind of, play around with that. I feel like there's not much option for them because it is a very awkward situation. And I mean, some guys like Tursunov loved it.
Yeah.
He loved the attention. Where some guys, I think they kind of play, but it's like, is it like, ha ha, yay? Yeah. Or is it like, oh, you're looking at me? Like sometimes you can't tell if they're like really into it or they're just like, yeah, okay.
Just going along with it. Yeah, I would say Dennis is probably into it. That would be my guess.
Probably.
But this is the peril of having your parents be your coaches. It's like you can't really have much fun when your mom is there giving you the stink eye.
Well, I don't know. My mom, after Ernest got arrested in Sweden, and the year later that I saw him in Cincy, my mom wanted me to give him a Monopoly get out of jail free card with my number on it because I would be legal to have sex with. So some parents are a little bit more open with that.
That's a whole nother podcast.
My mom took took Ernest's marriage harder than I did. Like she was convinced, like she wanted him as a son-in-law so bad.
Oh my God.
But Dennis, man, he's growing up. Like, he looks really cute, but he's so young. Like, I'm having a crisis. I talked about this before, where I'm like, the young guys are so cute, but I'm like, don't go there, girl.
Yeah, we always check ages first now too, because sometimes they're like, great player from the juniors. I'm like, how old is he? I need to know how old he is.
No, I know. Like, I saw that one kid, and I go, oh, he has a cute smile. Oh, 16. Never mind. It's not that cute.
Yep, you know. I'll check back with you next year.
I gotta do the Serena Swivel, like, turn on my heels real fast.
That's not
he cute 16. Nope. Go back in the tunnel.
Go back in the tunnel. Oh my god. Yeah, so this is, you know, you flip through your Instagram, Insta stories, all that kind of stuff, and you're like, okay, like this like came up and I was like, oh my god, this looks like Twinks Go to Paradise. It's like
coming to Bravo near Twinks on Paradise. Coming to Bravo Saturdays at 11.
Isn't it? I was just like, oh my god.
I guess I should have said logo instead of Bravo, but Bravo came in my head first.
But Bravo's just as good. Oh my god. But yeah, I was just like gorgeous, but it's like I was like, whoa, what's going on here? I would watch that show.
No, I would too. I would watch it. We would live tweet it together.
Okay, we're gonna. I meant to do something else with this and I didn't because we were having a little trouble getting this to play earlier. But yeah, see, for some reason it's being hinky. This was Stefanos, and you can see the exact moment when he tells his brother he loves him.
Where are you going with this, bro?
And I'm pretty sure this was after he lost.
Yeah, it was after he lost.
Yeah, and he was super melancholy. And yeah, he posted this with Petros, and it was just so funny watching it, where it's just like the face, like, dude, what are you saying? Why are you filming this? And someone said his sister in the background was like, just don't even think about it.
Yeah, she's not even paying attention.
Yeah.
I love her though, by the way. She's super cute. There's a gif of her cheering him on, and like, she's super cute. I want to write a TV show for her. Starring her. Sorry, Stefanos. And
I love their whole family. I'm waiting for Petros. I want to see what he's going to do, because he's a completely different personality from Stefanos. So he's always kind of like, he's so in these videos, but he's like looking at stuff like, dude, this is I don't know, this isn't the way I would do this, you know.
He's not as comfortable as Stefanos. Stefanos never met a camera he didn't like.
Yes. And he's a little more like, he's a little more sensitive type too. And Petros is kind of more like, I'm the cool brother. I'm just gonna flex my muscles in the background and try to get chicks. That's what I'm here for. So I wanted to put some Angie in here because she did this photo shoot, which I didn't like all of the pictures, but these are the ones that I did like. And Angie's kind of somebody that's usually a little bit more conservative, and it was kind of cool to see her in this more kind of like daring, kind of interesting stuff. And I didn't always like what they did with her hair, because they made it really flat, and in a couple pictures it's like wet, which didn't look that great. But I did like these pictures. They were kind of cool, and kind of a vintage 70s kind of thing going on.
Yeah. It's very chic and like album cover.
Yes. Yes. Which that's what a lot of people were comparing it to, whatever, you know, artist or whatever that it reminded them of. So I thought it was cool. And
I like it.
Yeah. And I like Courier had interviewed her after one of her matches, and he asked her like stuff about the tennis and everything. And it's just Angie kind of has these kind of standard responses to things. And which some of it might be, you know, like maybe in German she might say more. But he asked her about this photo shoot, and she was saying that it, you know, was interesting and something very different for her. And he was like, he was trying to, he's like, well, they look very nice. And then he was like, well, but you always look nice. And she said, well, this is very different for me. And she goes, then she's like, but you never know. Maybe someday this might be how I look all the time.
Oh, that is a good answer.
Yeah.
That is slick.
Yeah, and it was like this tiny little bit of like flirtatious, and I was like, woo, Angie.
That is slick. That's a good line.
Yeah. So I liked this. So I like Angie anyway, but that was pretty cool. Jim Courier is really awesome at the Australian Open interviews, because there's always, like, they don't all 100% work out, but a lot of times he gets really great stuff from the players.
And different things.
Yes. And this follows a little bit from what you were talking about, the players on social media and interacting, that Caro got somebody that you see this kind of stuff all the time, where people are bad about how they're playing or their losses or whatever. And it's, here's a tennis tip: get off the gram, forget about it, practice more, and start winning again. Facts. And Caro responded with some kind of thing, my life is perfectly fine, pay attention to your own life. Facts, kind of a thing. Then Jeannie Bouchard, dude, you're on the wrong page. Come back to mine.
I love that. I love her responding to this, because she does, every post you see get that, because she posts a lot of off-court and modelly pictures, and everyone's like, if you paid more attention to your tennis, you would do better.
Yeah, which is just so, it's like, who are you? It's like,
well, first of all, I think that's a really stupid thing. I think it's a stupid mentality anyway, because you watch tennis players on the court. You follow them on social media to get to know who they are.
Right.
So you tend to want to see footage of them dancing around their room or doing a photo shoot, and see off-court things and into their lives. So to be like, stop living your life and be a tennis player all the time.
Right.
Like, it's just silly. Nonsense.
Which a lot of times those are those stupid guys who are betting on the matches, which is part of the problem.
I love how he talks like Trump.
Yeah, exactly. Facts.
You would think he was going to do facts, witch hunt, no collusion.
It would have only been more if it said sad on it. Sad. Oh, and here's you wanted to talk about.
I did. Okay, so Gael Monfils and Elina Svitolina announced that they were in a relationship, and they announced with this video, and also they have a joint Instagram account, and a lot of people have been kind of like vomiting about this and kind of cynical about it.
Say, ew.
Yeah, a lot of people have been kind of like, ugh, and a lot of people hate couples to begin with. There are certain people that are going to just hate couples. And I'll admit that when it first came out, when I first saw that they had a joint Instagram account, my first thought was, well, that's kind of lame. Like, that's a bit much. And then I thought about it, and I was just like, Courtney, all you do is watch Hallmark movies. Like, lame and cheese is kind of your deal. And so then I realized, oh yeah, I live for this shit. And the thing is, I kind of thought about it, and this is kind of like a serious note, where everything is so negative, and we go through our Twitter timelines and our social media feeds and just want to scream the entire time. Everything feels like it's in chaos. So I think it's nice to have, people look like they enjoy each other and are in love and kind of have fun. Like, she posted a very cute video of him dancing around the grocery store to whatever song that they were playing. And it's just cute to see people happy and having fun. So I kind of was like, I kind of sat my own self down And it was like, look at it. It's cute. And also I thought the joint Instagram was a bit much, but I also understand that some players, their Instagram accounts are very much about tennis and sponsors and stuff. So they didn't want to share too much of their personal life and on their account, and wanted something that they could kind of have fun with and not be super streamlined.
Right.
And they also do a lot of Insta stories, and they did a Q&A. And at one point they said, who initiated the relationship? And they posted a picture of them both pointing at each other. And then the next question was, who's better at tennis? And they posted a photo of them pointing at themselves. So they show kind of more of their sense of humor and cuteness, which I love to see. I love to kind of get to know players personally. So I'm not going to be cynical, and I'm going to think it's cute.
Okay. Yeah. I
love how you went. Okay.
Whatever. No. I came into this under the perspective of Sasha and his girlfriend. Some of the stuff that I've honestly been seeing more on my timeline, that people are copying the videos and things like that with Sasha with his girlfriend, which actually Sasha supposedly doesn't want to be called Sasha anymore. He said he wants to be called Alexander. It's like, it's too late now, honey. But anyway, those videos were like super, super intimate. Like them in bed and like her getting ready and he's like kissing her neck like right before they're about to have sex. It was just kind of like there was like a super vibe of like you're really seeing into this relationship that you feel like a creepy ass voyeur. I don't know. And so when I found out that Gael and Elina had their own Instagram account for their relationship, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, It's like, this is too much. But then before we did the podcast, I went and watched some of this and I was like, oh, well, it's kind of cute, I guess. It's like, I still think it's a little bit too much exhibitionism, but I know there was like a string of people that were talking about it on Twitter where they're like, that's the new generation. They're used to kind of doing everything on social media. And so it maybe seems normal to them, but I'm like, Gael is like 32, so he's not a teenager. So I don't love it, but I said when I watched some of it, it was like cute, and I don't think it's anything harmful or particularly cringeworthy. I thought some of it was just fun. So
yeah. They did post a video. I think the most like intimate, I think it was when she was on the massage table and he was massaging her neck, but it wasn't, you didn't get the intimate feel. You just got that he was kind of just there, really. And like, he was just like, well, I guess I'll massage her neck. Like, and I mean, sometimes he'll like stroke her hand or something, but it's definitely not Sasha level intimate, which I was trying, somebody put a video mashup of all their videos or of a video she posted. I couldn't find it anywhere. And the post that I found on Twitter was deleted. So I can't find it. But like you said, it was very intimate, like her like going into his arms and kissing. And it was very intimate. But the reason I wanted to talk about it, because I just thought, how many tennis fans saw that video and still private messaged her, are you two dating?
Yes!
Because that happened.
Yeah.
That they could put out a sex tape and there's still going to be tennis fans going, are they dating? But what was I? Oh, about the two of them. The two of them were kind of odd. Because for a while they pretended they weren't together.
Yes.
But were clearly together. So they would kind of like tease people.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was weird. Like she would be like, oh, we're not dating, but he's like naked behind her. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
And they would kind of do the whole like, we're all over each other, but we're not together thing. And it just seemed like they were trying to be too cool for all of us.
Yes.
And it was just like, again, own your shit.
Right.
That's the thing, is like sometimes I like people when they own their shit. you know, you're not perfect, or I mean, okay. With that said, you can keep it private. I'm not saying if you're in a relationship, tell us all.
Right, yeah.
You know, if you
We
want
don't
to
have
keep
to
it
create
private.
a joint Instagram account.
Yeah, no, like, but you know, if you're pictured together and people are like, "Are you two dating?" and bothering you, that's one thing. But that's not what she was doing.
No.
She clearly wanted everybody to know they were together,
Yes.
but was being like cool. And it's just like, why are you guys so odd?
Yeah.
Again, they're young. I don't know young people anymore. I'm the old lady fighting for the headband.
Yeah, no, I don't know. But it's funny that you said that about because the Q&A that Gael and Elina did was one, like the third question or something was, are you two together? It's like,
yes.
Oh my god! No, this is an art project we're working on for our college classes.
That's the thing. They could be sucking each other's face, and tennis fans will still go, "Are they dating? We can't tell. We don't. I mean, it looks. We're not sure. We need a confirmation." And that's why I was. It just made me laugh when Zverev is so intimate with his girlfriend, and you know, tennis fans are still like that.
Oh my god. So that's that drama. And you guys can let us know what you think. If you're for it, if you're against it, if you don't care. I wanted to throw in just a little bit of hot mid-comp stuff. I just love this so much. Belinda was so excited to play with Roger, and you know, this is an EXO technically, and she's just hugging the shit out of Roger after they won. And it's just like, this is my chance. I can just hug him as much as I want.
I thought she just kept going back. Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it again.
And I just noticed, like, at first he didn't quite let go of her. So then she was like, oh shit, I'm going in for another one.
Yeah,
then.
that's the thing. Like, he was so close, and she's just like, oh, well, if you're not gonna let go, oh, I'm gonna keep going. Like, when your crush hugs you for the first time, and you're like,
yeah.
we'll stay this if you want. Yeah, he didn't let go of her shoulder. So then she just, look, she's like the happiest person I've ever seen in my life.
Look at her. And that was this thing too, is because in the doubles, like, she was having a little bit of trouble, and I could tell that she's going, I cannot lose this with Roger. You know, like, yeah. I admire him so much, and I can't be the weak link. And it was like, there was like a lot of emotions going on, but she like just is actually totally crazy about him, which, you know, I can identify with. But this was just so cute. It was just like, she just went berserk.
We all would.
Yes. And I remember I was talking about that I was happy about this too, because you know, I always bitch about some of the male players are like, if a, you know, female player like touches their elbow, they like freak out, like, you know, don't touch me, I don't want my girlfriend to think we're dating. You know, it's just like, you know, that I'm fooling around on her, you know, they act all weird, you know. And so it's like, I was so happy with this where, you know, Roger was just like totally letting her maul him. and I said that to my husband, and he was like, I don't think Roger had a choice.
Yeah, I think he kind of knew, like, this is just ride it out.
Just go with it. But it's like they're just like having a good time, they're friends. Yeah. She, you know, she thinks he's cute. It's like, nobody's harmed, it's all fun.
Yes. And we need that. And the tennis world can be very grouchy, and we need this just sweetness.
Yes, which is why I also put this clip in that I absolutely love, is that they asked Alizé to describe Luca in one word, and she said handsome. And he got all schmoopy.
Schmoopy. I love that
word. I mean, it's just like, and he's got like the little rosy cheeks, and it's like, oh. So I thought that was cute.
They're cute.
I think that's when they had the Hopman Cup stuff where they had like a the party beforehand, and they were all dressed up, and they had all the partners from the countries, and they asked the guys like about how the girls looked and that kind of stuff, and they were like, oh, she looks amazing, this and that, and they got to Sasha, and he looks at Angie and he goes, well, she was done before I was.
Yeah, I remember. I started laughing before you got to it because I go, oh gosh, we're going to Sasha. And you're just like, oh, what an idiot. Like, dude, just say she looks nice. Like,
yeah. And it was like, and we were like joking about it through the whole Hotman Cup that Angie was just constantly like mid eye roll with him. Like, you're just such an idiot.
And wasn't he late at one point? And everybody was just like, ugh.
Oh, that it was a whole. I forgot about that. Yeah, they had like a little clip of him come. She's waiting for him for either the match or for practice. I can't remember what it was.
I think it was a match because I think the French team was. I don't know if it was the French team. I think a different team was there, and I think she motioned to them. This always happens.
Yeah, and it was like he strolls up to her and offers her a piece of chocolate because he's eating.
And she's just like, ugh.
She's like, get away from me with that. It's just like, and it was like, that was the whole turn. It was like, every time it was like, he'd start talking about stuff and she was like, yeah, okay, whatever.
I love how odd, like, the tennis players are. They're just an odd bunch. Yeah, and I think that's why I like tennis so much, because they're just an odd group of people.
Yeah, well, there's lots of different personalities. That's,
it really is.
Yeah, and that comes out in various ways. So we and speaking of coming out in various ways.
So I like this. I included this because I feel like it's very night session-esque. Liam Brody posted this and said, when she makes an inquiry about round 2. And people are like, wow, bold post. Oh my God, delete this caption. That caption though. And like someone goes, like you ever get round 1 anyway. And so yeah, like this ties in with me going, tennis players no longer give a shit and are just gonna be themselves, and their selves are hilarious.
Yes.
And dirty and funny. And he's a cutie patootie. And he was very cute if you saw him live tweeting the women's final.
Oh, I missed that.
He was very cute. He was, I think he was cheering for Petra to begin with, and then he started to cheer for Naomi a little bit, and he had to leave for practice, but he didn't want to leave the match. And then they decided they're not going to go to practice and they're going to watch the match. And he was so into it the entire time.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's really cool because I don't see male players live tweet women's matches very often, if ever. So it was very cute that he was not only tweeting about the match, but super, super into it, that he had to cancel his tennis practice so he can stay and watch.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah, Liam is kind of an interesting person because we did some stuff about him from the Boodles, and he's like sweet, and he is very pro women's tennis, and it just seems like a good guy. But then if you're following his Instagram, he's very much a bro.
Yeah, he gets a little laddie.
Yeah,
on occasion, but he seems like a decent dude, and he's very funny and has a dirty sense of humor that we can appreciate on the show.
Absolutely. And on that note, we're done.
Now, are you gonna explain our closing caption?
This is what I wish happened. This is how I think it happened.
We're gonna get so many angry tweets.
I hope so, because that means people are listening.
Good point. Good point. We'll be blocked, but good point.
Yeah, I usually try to choose a picture for the end title that sometimes it's something that didn't make it into the podcast, but I kind of still want to make a nod to it. And for this one, I was kind of like, I don't know what I want to put here. And I was like, I'm just going to put Roger with the trophy. And I was like, yay. The good old days. Because there's definitely been a lot of talk about, if Nole and Rafa are going to surpass Roger's slam count and all that annoying goat talk kind of stuff. So I just thought I'd end on a lighter note.
A lighter note while all Novak fans watching this are seething. And you're just like, lighter note? Oh, really? They're going to really us. Really, Valerie? You think this is funny? We do find it funny. So
yes, we do find it funny.
Suck it. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, a lot of the Roger fans were cheering for Nole because he is not as close as Rafa, so that they were just like, let's just pick your poison kind of a thing. A strategic cheering.
Strategic cheering.
So I feel like we needed to end like on more of a sex note. I probably should have put like Pookie's ice bath picture at the end or something. Or Milos.
Wow. Yeah, Milos. You should have. We kept saying, if you follow our webcast, we kept saying we were going to put that ice bath picture of Milos Raonic we were just going to hide it somewhere and like we weren't going to know where it is. And all of a sudden it pops up. So that would have been a great ending because you added this later on. So I wouldn't have seen it.
Yeah.
So you could have trolled me and you didn't take it. And now our fans are disappointed in you.
Oh my God. Well, we'll have to re-record this. The whole 3-hour podcast, which by the way, I think it was 3 hours. So
probably we can never do. Well, we never timed it.
No, but the warm-up was like 35 minutes, so that probably should have been a sign.
That's true. We don't spend much time together, so then when we get together, we want to talk tennis.
Yes.
And everything that happened, and everything has been weird lately.
Yes.
Like we didn't even scratch the surface, people.
No.
Of how weird tennis has been so far this year. So you're welcome for keeping it 3 hours.
That's right. You're welcome. Oh my God. So thank you everybody for listening to us. Let us know how you liked the new really segment and anything else about the rest of the podcast, how you feel about communal ice baths and that sort of thing. Joint Instagram accounts. And this has been the night session.